today I'm here with the Bookroast Book Awards for 2017. A video everyone, I'm certain, have been waiting for like a year. I've done my awards last year as well, although I only had I think 6 categories in that one. I'll maybe link it down below, maybe just don't go there, it's a year ago. I've added some more categories and I thought this was a good way to sort of wrap up the year and tell you which ones I enjoyed the most. So yeah, I have 10 categories, although I will make another video on the winners within the compile system, so with every 7 categories, which book scored the highest. So I tried to avoid those type of categories in this video because I want to make it a different one. Guys, I made a spreadsheet, like yeah. Just want to say, this is books I read 2017 up until this point. I'm sure I'll finish a few books I think before the end of 2017, but those will just count towards the 2018 because what can you do? So yeah, those are not the books released in 2017, those are just the books that I've read in 2017. So I think without further ado, let's go into the awards. First we have the emotional read of 2017. So even though I didn't necessarily cry over this book, but it was very emotional, and I think the award has to go to Room by Emma Donoghue. Very briefly, this is a book about a girl who's captured and put into a room, and she gives birth to a kid who has never seen the outside world, and the book is from the kid's perspective and about how they're trying to escape and how his whole life understanding is, because obviously all the kid has ever known is the inside of that room that they are being held captive. So this is definitely an emotional read, and I think that the decision to write this from the 5-year-old's perspective was a really good one because it gives you this extra punch. Next we have the book that made me fangirl. I get really invested in books, but I don't fangirl easily. The only things I really fangirl over is Harry Potter. That's because I grew up with it and I fangirled when I was little, and you know, that was easier to fangirl when I was little. Now not so much, but there are still a few books that make me feel things and like a fangirly way and think about it after you read it and get into this like whole fandom. Even though the series started and maybe the biggest boom of fangirling was technically in 2016, but third book in the installment came out this year, and so it's A Court of Mist and Fury. No. A Court of Wings and Ruin. I would have included something new that I read, but I didn't really fangirl over anything else. Shade of Magic would be the closest one, but I didn't really fangirl over anyone there, and the Inner Circle is still just, I just want to be in it. The series overall is a very loose retelling of Beauty and the Beast in like a fey magical world, which is a bit more gruesome than that. The first book I wasn't a big fan of, the second book was just the best, and I actually really enjoyed the third one, which is this one. I know a lot of people didn't, but I did, so hooray for me. Next is the most unique book of 2017. My answer surprised even myself, I don't know why, because there were quite a few different books that I read, but the one that sort of stuck with me was We Are Legion, We Are Bob. I'll pop it somewhere here because I don't have a copy because it's an audiobook for me. Simply because it deals, it's such a funny book and it's such a laid-back sci-fi, but at the same time it deals with sort of philosophical concepts that you really don't think about until you're sort of put into that scenario. And this is about like a self-duplicating drone, and it's weird. It's a weird book. It's about a guy who gets himself into a contract that after death he will be kept until there's a means to revive him, and he wakes up being an artificial intelligence, sort of, but still himself, you know. You know what I mean? It's interesting, and it's how when he duplicates how he feels slightly different, and are they like separate people now, or is it still the same person? And yeah, it's just like it packs a lot of into that funny book, so I really appreciate that, and I thought it was a really interesting read and a very unique take of sci-fi, at least in my mind, because I never read anything similar to that. I don't know, it just like left a mark, and I like it. For the funniest book of 2017, I don't think I will surprise anyone if you're not new here. If you are new, then hi! How's it going? Welcome to the little family. That is the Lightningstruck Hard by TJ Klune. I'll again pop it somewhere here. It was a brilliantly voiced audiobook, and it's just so funny. Everyone in the book is basically gay, and they're so sassy, and it's just like really out there. It's not for everyone. If you get offended easily, it's not for you. If you don't like sexual themes, it's not for you. It's not for younger audience either, but I found it so funny. I'm not above these type of jokes, and I just loved it. I loved every second of it, and even though it was like 20 hours, it felt like, you know, I wanted more afterwards. So there's a second one out now. I'm waiting to be in the mood for that, and I'll tackle that in 2018. Now, the award for the cover design for the books that I've read in 2017. This was actually a really hard one. I still have quite a few books that I think maybe should be in this category, but I decided to like not cheat and put only one book in here. So actually there would be another book in this category if it wasn't already in two different ones that you're gonna see soon. But so I decided to pick another one because I just didn't feel like it's fair for the same book to take 3 out of 10 categories. Like, calm down. So I've decided to go with Nevernight by J. Kristoff. This is purely on the cover, by the way. There's something about birds on covers that just really, like, I love it. I love birds on covers. It's something that I realized in 2017. Absolutely random. But it's just the whole detail in the book. Then you open it, and I know this is technically not a cover, but whatever. You open it and there's like a... oh, okay, calm down. Eye with stars, and then there's this design, and it really reminds me of the Full Metal Alchemist, but I just love it. And then I absolutely adore how it looks naked, because it has this, oh, for fuck's sake, it has this bird in like glossy black on matte black, and it goes all over the other side as well, and I just love it so much. Now into the genre themed categories. So first of all, we have the winner for the contemporary of 2017, which sounds so silly because I honest to god read like 3 or 4. I don't really reach for contemporaries, and I feel like I've gotten quite lucky with contemporaries that I did reach for. I feel like I'm maybe a little bit of a better judge when it comes to contemporaries, feeling prior to picking it up if I will like it or not. There were a few books that really surprised me though, and one of them was the winner, which is Eliza and Her Monsters. I decided to read this just before reading The Room, actually, just to calm myself down and being prepping for something fun and light before I delve into that whole abusive book that Room is. But in fact, this was actually really interesting and emotional read as well as funny, but then it dealt with topics of anxiety, which is probably, you know, like relatable for me because I have an anxiety disorder, but I didn't really relate to the main character per se, so I'm not really sure, but it was just a really interesting. The characters I felt were really well matched, but they had different things that they struggle with, and it just shows that, you know, everyone has something. This is about a girl who runs a comic book, and she does it in secret, so no one in real life knows who she is, but she draws this comic, and it's really popular. It's like equivalent to Harry Potter, and then there is a guy who starts going to the school, and, you know, they meet, and he's a big fan, and he doesn't know that it's her that runs it. And see, from that point of view, I thought that, oh, this is just gonna be, you know, super fluffy, and because it sounds like it, doesn't it? Like, it sounds like it's gonna be super fluffy, but I swear to god it wasn't. And I only really read it because I heard people say that it's like a really quick read, and it's fun, and I already got the book because it was in one of the boxes, I think Owlcrate. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, and I really did. Next is best graphic novel, comic, manga type of thing. That was again kind of hard. I had 3 things that really just left me speechless in 2017, but the winner at the very end only has to be one thing, so it's Monstrous for me. Everything from the story to the artwork, especially the artwork, just completely blew me away. It's just so beautiful. I don't think I've ever seen a more beautiful... oh, so beautiful. The story is kind of hard to explain, but it's basically like a race war between purebreds, or people that think that they're, you know, more valued than others, and then the mixed breed is just like I can't even say it without rolling my eyes. Anyway, it's really beautiful. It's kind of grim, gory, but I absolutely love this comic, and I cannot wait for the 3rd one to come out because I read the 2nd one as well. It's just so beautiful. Then we're moving on to the top fantasy of 2017. I know. Then basically fantasy is pretty much the main genre that I read, that and sci-fi, but it's like very dominant in fantasy. So it was clearly quite hard for me to narrow it down to the top one up until December, which is this month, when I read The Final Empire, and I know, it finally happened. People kept telling me that I would love this because my favorite book is The Name of the Wind, and they were not wrong. There were obviously things that I maybe didn't love as much in this book. And, you know, it wasn't perfect, because very few things are in life, and I'm not perfect, so I absolutely love this book. I loved it from the page 1 to the page... How many pages do you have today? 643. It was just so magical. It was so detailed. Everything was so clear. It was unexpected to an extent at the end of it. I just love it. I love it. It's about the world where the royals are oppressing people who are called Sky, which is basically slaves to them because they are treated horribly and they don't get paid, and you know, they're just kept for the manual labor, and royals are taught by this ruler that they are genetically different from them and that they are lesser. And between the royals there are some magical abilities that are sort of inherited, but from now and then there's some mixture between Ska and the royals, and then you have a half-breed that they also have powers, and this is about some of those people who meet, and it's like a heist and a plot to overthrow the ruler. We meet our main character and the girl that is basically an apprentice to him, and it's very interesting. It's quite political, but not so much, and every character really holds its own ground, so I absolutely loved it. There were so many characters to love. It wasn't too descriptive, and it was quite easy as for high fantasies, because high fantasies sometimes are a little bit intimidating, especially when they're quite long, and especially when it's just, you know, you have to delve into like new series and the new world, and it takes a long time, and it really depends on how people build the world and how they set the tone and how they like explain you the magic and everything. But it didn't feel like work, you know. Sometimes for me, I love high fantasies, but sometimes the first 200 pages or something feel like a little bit of work and info dump and overwhelming. I didn't have that with this one, and this is probably why I love it so much. To the best sci-fi of 2017 so far, and that is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I adored this book. There's very like 50-50 for people either loving it or being like you know. It's a sci-fi where very little happens. That is absolutely true, but I am a character-driven person, and it was thought-provoking for me personally, and it's following this crew basically, and they're all different species, and they're all, you know, super different, and there's an artificial intelligence, and there's a whole, is it a sentient being? How do you treat each other? And it was just interesting. I loved it from the beginning to the end. I tapped so much, and I absolutely loved the book diary that I did for this. I love this book, and it just, I don't know, it holds a very dear part in my heart. So really recommend this to everyone who's not too into plot-driven books, because if you are, then this probably is not gonna be for you. And the very last, award number 10, the biggest of them all, is the best overall of 2017, and you've already seen this book in the previous category, and it's The Final Empire. It was again quite hard for me to decide which book would win, because 2017 was, in fairness, really good. There were some, you know, like mediocre books, but in general I've been catching up on all the books that I missed, and I'm sort of like catching up on the goodies. So it was not a lot of misses for me, but I had to pick this because I feel like there's like a new love blooming inside of me for this series, and as you know, it's a series, so there's more to come, and I love being in high fantasies that they continue for like 3 books or more. This one is 3, but oh my god, it's just like I'm so excited to find this, and I'm so excited to be starting my journey into this, and I'm a bit worried about the next one because something happened in this one that I was just like, but how are we gonna continue after that? But I'm sure we'll manage. Yeah, I'm just so happy. This brings me happiness, so this is how I chose that it is the best. I don't know, when I read the second one, this might top The Name of the Wind. I don't know, I said it. So yeah, that is actually everything. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It would be amazing if you also let me know who would win in your 2017 read books on these categories, because it's always nice to hear that. But let me know if you share any of the books and my love for any of the books in those specific categories or not, and chat to me in the comments basically. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye!